So my name is Ashutosh Goel. I am the founder and CEO of Xalts. Xalts is a financial technology infrastructure company primarily geared towards building backbones which interconnect a lot of disparate financial applications using primarily technologies around blockchain. So what I mean by that is if you think about the financial ecosystem today, and I'm talking more about, let's call it large banks, central bank, asset managers, the big monolithic organizations, which by design are supposed to have some sort of friction to keep everything safe and running. So it's a little harder to change them. But what you have to realize is a lot of financial technology you see today has largely been invented in the last 30, 35 years, including some of the things that make the backbone of money today. Now, if you think about that ecosystem, what happens is there are hundreds and thousands of applications which to some degree talk to each other, but it's very difficult to connect them, which is why a little bit of most of the time innovation in that space is a lot harder. But that thing also keeps that space a lot safer. What blockchains have allowed us to do for the first time in this history is able to make a standard plane for all these applications to interact with each other. So think of it like the TCP/IP equivalent of the financial ecosystem. So standardized data settings and the ability of money and assets to basically at a technology level be the same thing.
What sort of set of problems does that actually generate for, I guess in this case, the end consumer that you think new technologies like blockchain could help resolve?
So the end consumer in this case is the financial institution in itself, or a collection of financial institutions. A large segment of what we build, the users for that businesses and the large organizations, or banks and asset managers themselves. And for them, this is a material change. What blockchain does is, let's say, give a common plane on which data packets in a very standardized manner flow. And these data packets are actually your assets themselves. So it could be bonds, it could be mutual funds, it could be any type of asset. So in itself, your asset is traveling from point A to point B, and it is able to go from point A to point B. But not only that, it is able to tell point B what I am, where I have been to, what do I signify, what is my value, and what I need to do throughout my rest of my life. So that is a very big transformative change.
What do you think people have gotten wrong about blockchain technology, maybe in its execution and its deployment? And why would it be different in the way that your company, Xalts, is trying to deploy here?
Every technology in its initial phase requires some level of build out experiments and failure. And that has been true for the internet. That has been true for any other technology which has been revolutionary. Any revolutionary technology requires some level of evolution before it becomes sticky. All the promises, starting with the very early days of, let's call it, Bitcoin and Ethereum and all of it, the promises are still very valid. For a very long time, the technology didn't exist. Like there was a promise that the technology is going to come, but wasn't robust enough to actually deal with the scale of real world applications. What we have seen till now is more of crypto rather than applications of blockchain. Crypto is a application of blockchain. It's not all the applications of blockchain. The promises around blockchain, and that's actually how we started, right? Like I got involved in understanding of blockchains when I was working in HSBC, and HSBC was trying to build out certain things, right? At that point of time, you're talking 2017, the EVM infrastructure, or what is based out of the Ethereum underlying set of principles, was very, very new, very, very nascent, and not that scalable. It was slow, it was clunky over time. It has become faster as your layer twos have come in and all of it, right? Some other technologies existed, which were more useful for something like a bank. And when I say what were these other technologies, these were more around the principles of privacy. Now, privacy can happen either by keeping the chain private and adding some sort of encryption around it, because if you try to do the same type of encryption on a public blockchain, that technology is still very, very new and very, very slow. So what I'm talking about is homomorphic encryptions, which is still work in progress. And in the next 2, 3, 4 years, you will get that level of encryption there. But at this point of time, that thing is not really there fully. So you kind of need to think about private blockchains or a private Ethereum for a bank, or interconnected Ethereums for different banks. So it's a more private ecosystem. Promises of that blockchain technology are now going from democratizing money to real world applications. So, and that is happening today purely because now the technology has evolved. So if I wanted to build an Xalts in 2017, I could not have built an Xalts in 2017. And actually, a lot of people did try, but just technology wasn't there. So you haven't really seen any of that. Now, because of how this thing has evolved, you can actually start building out. And that's why you see a lot of regulators starting to engage and all of it, because now it's possible. In another 5 years, it will be possible to achieve a lot more things on blockchains. But
Right.
for that, you got to start today.
How do you think about what the actual addressable market potential is for this? How would you describe it, for example, if to an investor or to a partner who's interested in business? Like what sort of metrics do you look at? How do you kind of define exactly what the opportunity is that Xalts is addressing?
The addressable market is anything that is called an asset. So the global economy is close to, the global financial economy generally is close to about $100 trillion, give or take. That's your global GDP, right? So that's basically your answer. But how do I think about it is, over time, everything will go there, but nothing will go there on day one, unless you think about real, real profitable use cases. And that's how we started to think about what we will build. So
Okay,
when we started, we wanted to do tokenization on certain types of things. But we were very clear that we are not going to go to any bank or any institution saying, I will make your process efficient. Nobody cares if you sell efficiency, because then what you're really selling is you can fire 5 people in the back office. That's it. That's all you are really selling. So unless I can say, I will make you this much more revenue if you use our tokenization solution, or I will make your bank more capital efficient by cutting RWAs and all of it, like something that is tangible, measurable, revenue metric, or a bottom line enhancing metric. That is all we wanted to focus on. So we started with tokenization of global trade assets. We also did tokenization of asset management products, tokenization of loyalty. So things like Asia Miles, and tokenization of what you would call carbon financing, so green bonds and things like that. So largely, there were very specific reasons for us to approach a market in this way. We didn't go after some of the other well-known use cases because we didn't see the revenue potential today. When we thought about that, we also realized that tokenization is great, but most of our clients were telling us, I still need the underlying infrastructure. What will I do with a tokenization application if I don't know how to, manage wallets, build a blockchain, manage the nodes, and all of those things? So now when we go in, any problem you may have thought about from a tokenization application, but one below. These are the things I need for my infrastructure. I need to build a private blockchain. Indexers need to work in a certain way because now I have scaled data. Wallets need to be managed in a certain way because think about wallets, right? Like if, let's say, something like a big bank adopts blockchain, it will require wallet management.
what is like the main stumbling block or the main challenge that you think that you are successfully navigating that other people have so far found it difficult to?
When you build for large monolithic organizations, your sales cycles are slow by design. And you have to rethink about technology from your client's point of view. We build for a business. We don't build because, it's a cool technology. So a lot of companies just don't end up doing that. We may eventually have more competition in this space. We see newer players coming in. We also see existing incumbents which were doing a lot more in the crypto world, trying to do what we are trying to do. But a lot of players just think like crypto rather than think like a bank. So our sole purpose of starting the company and what gives us a bigger advantage than most others is we first think like our clients would, and then we build the technology. We don't build technology and then try to retrofit it inside a business.
Over the next sort of 5 years, what sort of emerging technologies do you see coming up that would make sense in terms of integrating into the product suite of what Xalts is offering?
I mean, this is the emerging technology, right? Like blockchain and underlying infrastructure and tokenization and all of it. That is the emerging technology. What blockchains do is, because everything is an asset, it's an effective way of integrating money layer over data layer. So if internet was a data layer, and what fintech ended up doing was to build a very disparate, disconnected money layer on top of internet. This time around, your data is also your money, right? Or asset. So that asset packet in itself can unpack a lot of different existing business models which are available to you. What will happen in the next 5 years is a lot more around adoption of this technology. And given adoption is slower in big organizations, it will take anywhere between 2 years to 5 years to adopt at scale. But like the big things which will come out is actually where we are focused today. Right? Like your trade finance becomes a lot more accessible to a lot more people. Your SMEs find it easier all of a sudden to access loans, because now banks don't actually have to sit on those loans on the balance sheet. They are able to securitize it faster and churn the risk out of their balance sheet so they can lend. Your tokenization of loyalty will basically change the way you and I think about not just loyalty, but advertising. How do small businesses incentivize you to be loyal to them will be unpacked in a very different way.
What advice would you give to young people who are perhaps in school right now, whether it's in university or even in secondary school? Like, what advice would you give them in terms of how they should be spending their time, given what you believe about the future?
One thing I have always believed in, and I still continue to believe today, is the biggest disservice you can do to yourself is shutting yourself out from curiosity. You should always be curious, learning new things, and saying that whatever I learned a year ago is no longer valid. You have to constantly think around that. Like the only learning you can do is more and more, because that's how quickly things are evolving. Uh, Now, within that, should you decide that this is something that excites you, starting a business has very little to do with passion. Starting a business is purely risk managing. Why do a lot of people, young people, start businesses is purely because they have very little to lose at that point in time. So the encouragement is you have absolutely nothing to lose in your professional life. So you should start a business either when you are in your 20s, or if you realize that you may need some sort of skills and coaching. You may have an idea, but you may not have the right skill sets. Either you will enlist other people or you will go work somewhere which will teach you those skills, and you do it 2 years, 3 years down the line. Try to fail early if you can, because you have absolutely, your Sharpe ratio is much more in your favor. You are what in trading I would call a high reward, very low risk trade in terms of starting a business. Now, if that is something you wish to do while you are in colleges, again, you will have to have a good idea, or you will have to latch on to somebody who has a great idea. And you just go and execute. Now, execution actually means a lot of different things, where you have to, let's call it, be very open to how the world works. And that actually teaches a lot of things very early on in life. If you basically go out there, see, when you start a technology company in your 20s or any time, nobody cares about you and it's your job to survive. Nobody's going to actually give you anything. So you will have to adopt, you will have to sell, and you're going to be learning a lot over that course. No job will teach you so many different things as entrepreneurship will. So long story short, it's just another job. It's a much more high pressured, high powered, mind bending job you will do. So do it early.
If people want to know more about, your journey, about Xalts, what's the best place for them to seek you out?
I mean, they can reach out to us through our website, through LinkedIn. We are fairly open that way. And yeah, we are present in actually 6 different countries, physically present in 6 different countries. So they can also come to our offices. We'll be very happy to host them.
Fantastic. All right. Thank you very much, Ash.
My pleasure. Thank you.